Hello, welcome to the Horror of It All movie podcast. Today I'm going to be doing my number 3 third video on my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. Now, getting into some close territory, I guess. I'm officially in the top 20. So, gonna dive right into that. Any of my other videos you can check out on my channel. The last 2 episodes are up. Now, before I do get started, in case you're just coming in wherever, that's fine too. I'm cool with that. Just know that these are just the regular Vinegar Syndrome releases, okay? No VSA, VSP, VSU, adult titles, box sets, or double features. Now, on my first one, if you come across it, somebody did point out that technically Hard Rock Zombies was in there. That was a double feature. I completely spaced that just because of how into Hard Rock Zombies I was. And I'm not as into... what's the other one? I forgot what it's called. Slaughterhouse Rock. Sorry. See, it's not even in my brain. It's good. It's okay. But it's not a favorite. So I did space that. But anyway... I did make sure all of these are just regular Vinegar Syndrome releases. One of them's in a little bit of a gray area, but it's not a double feature, and it's not technically a box set. Sort of. So I guess that's a gray area. Somebody might call me out on it, but I don't really look at it like that. I just look at it as like a deluxe release. But, yeah, I think that's it. Both of these leading into the halfway to Black Friday sale, which, as of this recording... of 2022 is next week. So I will upload this one this week, of course, and next week will be my final episode, which I will air around, or upload around a few days before, roughly what I've been doing, midweek. But yeah, all right, let's dive right into this. My number 20 favorite Vinegar Syndrome release is a release that not a lot of people... You're either on one side or the other. It's one of those releases because it's so silly. It's so stupid. It's so much fun. It's one of those that I'm totally the guy that people will say what they don't like about it, and I'll be like, I know, right? And I'll take it like, oh, well, those are the reasons why I like it. Pandemonium. I had a blast with this. Never had seen it before. That's the reverse art. But yeah, finally a movie that is totally taste free. Pandemonium is a lot of fun. A wildly bizarre horror film parody from Arnold Soule, who also did Alice Sweet Alice, which is kind of interesting. I mean, he did Alice Sweet Alice. So, anyway. Pandemonium features an astonishing cast, including Carol Kane, Judge Reinhold, Phil Hartman, Tom Smothers, Paul Rubens, and Tab Hunter. Jam-packed with bizarre humor and even stranger death sequences. Pandemonium, that describes it good. I don't even really need to read the synopsis or whatever. That kind of sums it right up. This is the inside. But I love this movie so much. Now, there's even that's the back of the slipcover. I watched this with my son for my second or third time seeing it. Excuse me. But the slipcase is so cool. There's a really stupid joke in it that now is an inside joke that we haven't said in a while, but it was still funny. One of the characters, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. One of the characters was this weird woman that walks around the place, or I guess it's a dorm. I can't remember. Yeah, basically. You scared? And he's like, baloney. And she's like, you scared of baloney? Now, I know some people take things way too serious sometimes and don't like stupid shit, which is fine. You be you. But I just feel like I have more fun with life sometimes when I like dumb shit like this. My number 20 favorite Vinegar Syndrome release, Pandemonium. So fucking funny. So great. Okay. Number 19 here is a release. Was it this year? Nope, it was last year, but I'll just say it. Shallow Grave. When I initially heard about this release, like a lot of people, I was thinking of another movie. There are a few movies called that, and saying few might be generous, but that I know of. This movie is a fucking gem. This movie is so good. It where the most feared killer wears a badge. So good. I will say, I heard some people say they didn't like the ending or whatever. Me, I took the ending, and keep this in mind if you haven't seen it. This is how I took it. It was one of those draw your own conclusion type things. Because some people are like, I was left whatever. I don't think it was. I just think, I'm not going to say what happened, but even the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is probably what happened. I had no problem with it personally. But yeah, 4 college co-eds are on their way to Florida for spring break. While passing through a small Georgia town, they unwittingly witness the murder of a woman. But when they discover that the assistant is the local sheriff, assailant, not assistant. The assailant is the local sheriff. They're forced on the run from a cunning and deranged psychopath who will stop at nothing to cover up their crime. After trapping the girls in town overnight, he devises a plan to permanently eliminate any potential witness and begins to terrorize and murder the girls one by one. So good. It's another one of my blind buys. That's what I love about Vinegar Syndrome, as I've said before in other videos. But if you haven't watched any of my other videos, what I mean by that is they remind me of growing up as a kid in a video store and discovering all these awesome movies. And as I've said on other videos, I like 99% of all their releases. So to blind buy stuff, I don't even half the time read what a movie's about. I just buy it. It's Vinegar Syndrome. I buy it. If I'm not always a subscriber. I will be a subscriber again, thankfully, on the halfway to Black Friday sale. So I'll have a half year, which is awesome because I buy them anyway. But it saves a lot of money between that and partner labels and everything. And their sub labels like VSP, VSA, Picorama, stuff like that. But this one, I don't know how I never discovered it, but it's just, I just love it so much. Packed with nail-biting suspense from beginning to end. Shallow Grave is an edge-of-your-seat, twist-filled Hitchcockian thriller with very strong slasher tendencies. Never released legally on disc anywhere in the world. Vinegar Syndrome is proud to bring this critically underseen Shallow Grave to Blu-ray, freshly restored from its long-believed lost 35mm elements, alongside newly shot and illuminating interviews. It does have an interview with the director, and it has an interview with the writer-producer. There's also commentary with the director, and it's got a Hysteria Continues commentary. So, yeah. My number 19, Shallow Grave. So good, so good. Number 18 is not a favorite of a lot of people, and I tend to have a lot of those sometimes. So take this with a grain of salt if you would, if you're thinking of these like recommendations. I love this movie because when I watched it, in my mind, I was ready for a movie that was, let's try to make this like it was, as best to our knowledge as we can from like stories and this and that. On the other hand, some people might not have done that, found it boring, whatever. It's fine. to each their own. This one, I'm more on an island, I think, but I loved this movie because I just watched it like this is probably what happened or would have happened. My number 18 favorite Vinegar Syndrome is Master of the World. Yes, there's not a lot of dialogue in this, but they were cavemen. Of course there wasn't. One of those like that. Like anything that somebody didn't like about it, I kind of had an answer myself for it. I didn't talk to anybody about it necessarily, but I don't know, man. I love Master of the World. Again, I may be alone on this, but I really, really liked it. At the dawn of human civilization, hundreds of thousands of years ago, war was a way of life, with rivaling tribes and vicious nomads transforming the earth into a non-stop bloodbath. Bog, a young man who dreams of being the leader of not just the tribe, but all the human civilization, begins a bloodthirsty quest for domination, wherein he'll need to fight and conquer both man and beast to truly ascend to the power he so desperately craves. An ultra-gory Italian cash-in on the then-popular Hollywood trope of ancient times action-adventure films, notorious genre film auteur Alberto Cavalloni, I think that's close how I say it, Master of the World, a.k.a. Conqueror of the World, is a low-rent, high-sleaze saga of prehistoric man at his most brutal, complete with an array of shocking and dangerous animal stunts to balance out the human-on-human savagery. Never officially released on DVD, Vinegar Syndrome brings this gruesome epic to Blu-ray in both its original Italian and English dubbed versions, freshly restored in 4K from its 35mm original negative. There isn't a lot on special features. There's an interview with the assistant director, and there is an interview with biographer, who's the director's biographer. Okay. But yeah, take this with a grain of salt. A lot of people just weren't big fans of this movie, and I just put kind of myself in that mindset of that's kind of what would happen. And then I was just fascinated by it because for whatever reason, the older I get, the more I'm fascinated by like ancient times and things like that. And sure, we don't know exactly what happened, but we have a pretty good idea on a lot of them. And to me, that's kind of what this is. It's one of those like, not the beginning of time, but like, you know, it just that time frame. And I know a lot of people are like, well, there's barely any dialogue, which I do like when they say Italian and English dubbed whatever. It doesn't really matter because there's really not that much dialogue, but of course there isn't. If you're being true to the source material of what you want to portray, a caveman's not going to say a lot. It doesn't know language necessarily. So that's my 2 cents on the movie that I adore and love, Master of the World. I can't wait to watch this again. My number 18, favorite Vinegar Syndrome of my top 40, Master of the World. Now, I don't know if anybody cares about this, but I did realize 364 is the number on this one. Real quick here. 329 is Pandemonium, and 368 is Shallow Grave. I don't know if anybody cares about that, but I like saying it. But I really, really wanted to get my 2 cents in on that. I know even for some, like, wow, it's even in your top 40, or wow, it's number 18 of your top 40. It just is. To each their own. You be you, you know? I genuinely love Master of the World, and I have no apologies about it, nor should I, you know? Don't worry, when I do my ranking of my VSAs, that's also going to be one of those that people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, you be you, you know? If it's not something you like, that's cool. Everybody's ranking is different. Think about, I see it a lot with, like, say, a franchise like Friday the 13th. People's franchises or answers for their order is always off. Like, not off, but, like, different. And that's fun. That's fun to me. I've never been the guy that's gets pissed off or whatever. Like, what the fuck you talking about, blah, blah, blah. That's not me. That's just not me. You be you. You love what you love. You like what you like. And, don't apologize for it. It's never, My number 17 of my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases, a movie that just got a new amazing slipcover recently, which was probably the best slip of the bunch when I got it. Graduation Day. I grew up with this movie, unlike some of them that I've talked about. I love Graduation Day. I think it's a very underrated slasher. This is the back. It's really, really cool. But this is an early one. This is number 50. It's always interesting to see earlier ones, like 50, for instance, and you see it on a slipcase, because they didn't have slipcases then. But there are 200 seniors in Midvale High and 7 days till graduation. The class of 81 is running out of time. This is the original case. I still have it in the blue case that when I bought it. Like I said, this is an older release. I have my glasses on here. I know, I'm getting old here. I usually actually wear my glasses most of the time, as you've probably seen in my videos, but I think it's 2014, so this is super early. But the glare was bugging me, so those are not reading glasses. I'm past that. I need regular glasses. Anyway, Graduation Day. The class of 81 is running out of time. After the death of a high school track star during a race, a mysterious fencing mask wearing killer begins murdering her friends and teachers. Why does it say her friends and it might be foreshadowing, but who could the killer be? Or murdering their friends and teachers. I think that's what it might have should have said. Might have should have, because her doesn't make sense, or he, her, whatever. I'm not saying who the killer is or anything. I'm just saying could be the killer. Her disgruntled coach, her angry sister, her violent boyfriend. As the bodies pile up, a twisted... Oh, I get it. Her, because she died. Sorry. It's late sometimes when I do these, and I didn't make that connection. I get what they're saying now. As the bodies pile up, a twisted mystery unfolds, slowly revealing itself as it moves towards its bloody climax. One of the quintessential high school set slasher films of the early 80s. Newly restored in 4K and presented in its original aspect ratio for the very first time. This has video interviews with lead actress, director, producer, and editor. And it has a commentary with the producer and a commentary with Hysteria Continues. So, yeah. Kind of plain in here. Because, again, this is early on in Vinegar Syndrome, man. Graduation Day. Now, when did this come out? 1981. I believe this was in either my top 10 or an honorable mention of my top 10 favorite horror movies from each year in the 1980s, from 1981. I believe this was in there as well. So, yeah. My number, what was I? 17? I'm going to put this here because I'm sick of looking down. My number 17 favorite Vinegar Syndrome release, Graduation Day. Okay. Make sure I'm at the right spot. Number 16 is a recent release. I should have brought out the Blu-ray as well, but I didn't. It's cool that they still put the number on this one. It was originally number 78. I am talking about a movie that I was waiting and waiting, and I swore, like, it's got to get a slipcase. It's just got to get a slipcase. It never did. And I was like, I don't know what the problem is. Are they losing the rights? Blah, blah, blah. We found out. Madman on 4K. That's why. They were putting it out on 4K. This came out in February, so this probably won't be on sale. I don't think so. But, yeah, another great one. Another great slasher that I loved growing up. That I thought was great growing up. Madman. I mean, it's Madman. So, I'll still read the synopsis. This is the original artwork. I had the Blu-ray forever, and still do. I shouldn't say had. But when the 4K came out, this 4K looks amazing. So, yeah. All right, Madman. Many terrifying legends are shared around the campfires, but very few of them are true. That's what teenage Richie thought about the story of Madman Mars, a hulking brute who, as the story goes, murdered his entire family decades earlier, and who can be summoned from the dead by calling his name. Unfortunately for Richie, his fellow teenage summer camp counselors, the legend is very true. And Madman Mars is back, freshly sharpened axe in hand to continue the killing spree he began many years ago. One of the quintessential, it's true, kind of like Graduation Day, quintessential and iconic early 80s slashers. Madman piles on scares, suspense, and plenty of gory kills. Starring Galen Ross, which her special feature on here is awesome. Hers is probably one of the only main new ones, if not the only new one. But it's great because I've met her and I've tried to talk to her about Madman, and she just gave me a look like she hates the thing. But there were things surrounding it, like she couldn't say her real name because of what's that called? I'm completely blanking on what it's called, but certain actors you always had to do union movies, not union movies. It's something. It's a lot of those lines. I hate when I forget shit like this. But anyway, she wasn't supposed to do it, so it's kind of under the radar. I don't think that would matter all these years later, but she finally talked about it, which was awesome. And featuring a colorful photography by James Lemo, who of Miss 45 fame. Vinegar Syndrome is proud to present the ultimate Madman experience on UHD for the first time from a brand new 4K restoration of a 35mm camera negative, featuring hours of extra features including interviews and commentaries with nearly every surviving cast and crew member. As I said, there's the interview with Galen Ross, there's an interview with the director, there's an interview with producer and actors. No, these aren't interviews. I apologize. That's a commentary track with them. There's a Hysteria Continues commentary track. There is an interview with creator-producer. There's an introduction by the same guy, Gary Sales. Sorry I don't always mention the names. I just kind of get through it. I apologize. If anybody wants to comment and say, yeah, mention the names, that'd be cool. I don't care. I'll do it. But I usually don't. I apologize. Alive at 35 featurette, which is on the original one, I believe, and a featurette with a bunch of people that made the movie. Legend Still Lives, 30 years of Madman, a feature-length making-of documentary, and In Memoriam featurette, music inspired by Madman featurette, Dead Pit interviews with Gary Sales and Paul Ehlers. But yeah, I love Madman. So great on 4K. This is what it looks like on the inside. You do still get a Blu-ray. The reverse is this. So, yeah. Where was I? My number 16 for in my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndromes releases. Madman on 4K. Okay. Down to 15. This one is also an older release. It did come out with a slipcase, so it's not that old. Trying to think when it came out. 2018. Okay. As I've said on others, they release so much stuff that sometimes, especially in the past few years, sometimes it seems a little older. This one I had bought at a convention, and then I find out years later, one of the biggest reasons they got this movie was because of Brad Henderson. So, Brad Henderson, thank you for introducing me to this movie, as well as thank you, Vinegar Syndrome, for releasing it. The House of the Dead. I've watched this a few times. It is an anthology. I really, really like it. It's really atmospheric. It's creepy. That's the back when they still did the back of the slipcase as the same as the back of the movie. 4 tales of intrigue and horror await anyone brave enough to enter the House of the Dead. When villain-during, it's what it looks like it says. I'm not sure what that means. I apologize. A husband accidentally finds himself lost during a rainstorm. He's taken in by an elderly mortician and is forced to learn the ghastly origins of 4 freshly arrived corpses. A scornful teacher whose students teach her a fatal lesson. An amateur filmmaker with a deadly muse. 2 dueling detectives attempting to solve a mysterious murder. And a bitter man whose arrogance costs him everything. Yeah, let's see. This low-budget Oklahoma-made horror anthology features a collection of ghoulishly vignettes ranging from wryly comedic to genuinely grim and unsettling. Barely released theatrically, only available in murky video-sourced editions. Vinegar Syndrome presents The House of the Dead, originally released as the title that makes absolutely no sense, Alien Zone. Newly restored in its original 35mm negative. This includes an interview with the director, an interview with the screenwriter, slipcover by Earl Kessler Jr., who has done a lot of their stuff. Yeah, House of the Dead is so good. It's so underrated. And again, thank you, Brad Henderson, from learning it later on that you're one of the driving forces, if not the main driving force, to get this into Vinegar Syndrome. So yeah, my number 15 of my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases, The House of the Dead. This is more than likely gone, but I'm pretty sure you can still get this, so I highly recommend it for the sale. Like I said, I think I said it, $236. And this is, yeah, definitely check this out. I definitely recommend it. My number 14. I'm sorry I keep looking. I just want to make sure I got my things in the right order as I put them in. My number 14 is a movie that I had heard about for a while. Never seen it. And since I got this release, I have seen it many times. It's turned into a staple at Christmas time. And because I said that, you may already know what I'm talking about. Maybe. They have a couple Christmas movies. Deadly Games. Number 14 of my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. Deadly Games. Dial code for Santa Claus. Let's see. Santa Claus Live. What do you... Let's see. Do you want to play with me? This is definitely a creepy... it's a French movie. I'll read the synopsis for you. Young Thomas is obsessed with action movies and video games. So much so, when his mother is out, he delights in turning... What? He delights in turning... the sprawling mansion. I may be reading it funny, but that's what it says. Sprawling mansion where he and his invalid grandfather into a makeshift battleground. Yeah, this wording is funny. I guess I've never read it. Concocting and setting elaborate traps. Home Alone, grandfather aside, on Christmas Eve, Thomas is soon faced with an unexpected and very unwelcome guest. A department store Santa Claus, who is in fact a deranged maniac on the loose. Putting his skills into action, Thomas begins an all-out assault against the murderous Saint Nick, rather than risking his Christmas turning into something closer to Halloween. A dazzling mix of thriller, action, and horror, long rumored to be unofficially inspired. Unofficial inspiration for one of the biggest Hollywood blockbusters of the 90s, Home Alone. I get it, and I could be that weird guy, which I am with a lot of releases, but I think it's a bit of a stretch. I get it. I get where you're coming from, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like Chris Columbus, or who wrote it? John Hughes. Saw this movie, but he could have, I guess. But it's different enough for me to Home Alone personally. That's just my take. You know, some people be like, "What are you talking about? It totally is." Well, all right, that's cool. You think what you want. Dial code for Santa Claus, aka 3615 code Perry Noel, aka Deadly Games, aka Game Over. What is this, an Italian movie? It's not, but in a would-be cult sensation that sadly never was, featuring ultra-stylized cinematography, which highlighted the often dreamlike production design. Vinegar Syndrome is honored to present your next holiday favorite, Dial Code for Santa Claus, in its U.S. disc debut and worldwide 4K Ultra HD debut from brand new 4K restoration of its original camera negative. There's a bunch of special features, long special features, an interview with the director, which is 88 minutes, an interview with actor, I guess Alan Musi. The director is Renee Mezor. Anyway, and that's 40 minutes. So yeah, some of the special features are quite up there. A short film by the director called Synapse. Multiple storyboard comparisons, an archive behind the scenes featurette. There's tons of shit on here, but yep, it's 4K. It's Dial Code for Santa. I got the vinyl of this when they put it out. I'm not really a big vinyl guy, I will admit that. I am a CD guy. I know even some people in bands have been like, well, back when there were CDs, there's still CDs. I don't understand what, maybe not as many people buy them, but they're there. That's my format for CD. Blu-ray is my format for movies. I love 4K, believe me, but this is the reverse. It's a little different. But yeah, I love Dial Code for Santa Claus, and I thank Vinegar Syndrome for releasing it because I had never seen it. And to be debuted in 4K, that's always great. That's always fun. All right. Almost getting down there. Number 13. This has been a lot of fun. I hope people like it. I know somebody on one of the other ones had commented that he was really enjoying them, almost looking forward to them. I will be doing more top 40s for other labels. I love doing rankings. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of thinking and moments I don't know, but once I get it, and do the videos, it's so much fun. So I hope people are enjoying it. Anyway, where was I? Number 13. This one I haven't heard a lot of talk about. I've heard some talk about. My number 13 favorite Vinegar Syndrome movie of my top 40. Satan's Blood. I'm not even going to attempt to read the back of this. Because it is in, I'm not sure what language. But yeah, anyway. That's the reverse here. I'm guessing Spanish, right? Escalafaro. I'm honestly not sure. But this is in English. After a chance encounter with a mysterious couple claiming to be old friends, Andreas and Anna are invited to spend the evening at a beautiful, secluded old villa. As the night winds down, they begin to sense that there are some rather strange things going on around them, and after agreeing to sleep over, find themselves unwittingly pulling into a series of bizarre sexual encounters, which they slowly discover are part of a horrifying satanic ritual designed to make them slaves to the Prince of Darkness. This fucking movie is one of those movies that I really believe, if it was discovered and it wasn't so underground or whatever it was, this could have been a classic. It's a classic to me now, but this could have been a classic. It's from the 70s. A fiendishly perverse blend of sleazy sex and gory violence, written and directed by Carlos Perudo. Some uncredited assistance from producer and Spanish horror auteur Juan Piquer Simon of Pieces fame, one of my all-time favorite movies. You probably can't. I probably can't really see it, but right here, it looks like a scratch, but that's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah. It says Pieces. I love Pieces. I won't even get into Pieces because Vinegar Syndrome didn't direct it, but put it out. Grindhouse Releasing did, which shameless plug to them, but it's not even a shameless plug. It's just check out that release because it's amazing. There's a special feature on it about 42nd Street that is so amazing. It's a full-length documentary. That's the best release. I like the Arrow release, but this one's even better. But yeah, I had to mention that because of Juan Piquer Simon. Satan's Blood, originally titled Escalafro, meaning chills, is one of the highlights of the late 70s Spanish exploitation cinema. A skillfully constructed and elegantly photographed film that teases out its increasingly macabre twists. Vinegar Syndrome is pleased to present Satan's Blood on Blu-ray, freshly, Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Freshly restored in 4K from its new scan of 35mm original negative, featuring a wide array of special features, which include the movie in both English and Spanish language soundtracks, Satan's Blood, a 45-minute Spanish documentary, a commentary track with film's historians and authors Sam Dugan. I think it's not Sam Dugan. That's probably not how you say his name. I apologize. And Kat Ellinger, who is on a lot of stuff. But yeah, this is I highly recommend this, and I think it's very underrated. Satan's Blood. My number 13, my top 40. Alrighty. Sorry. He's got a little mixed up here. The next one is actually the one I was talking about at the beginning. This is my number 12 of my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome. Sorry I say that so much. Which some people might consider a box set, but to me it's not really a box set or a double feature or any of those things because it's only one movie. Thank you, Vinegar Syndrome, for putting this movie out in an amazing... Yes, it's a box, but to me it's not a box set. It's one movie. Anyway, Flesh for fucking Frankenstein. This should have been in my top 10, but it was so hard. So it just barely squeaked into at number 12. This is an amazing release. I know I heard a lot of people bitching about how much it was, but I didn't bitch at all. One, it's Vinegar Syndrome, so, I mean, you get what you pay for, really. That's how I always look at it. And yes, this was a little bit up there, but it was 100%, 150%, 1,000% worth it. It was cool that they released this, and Severin released Blood. Is it Blood for Dracula? Yeah. Both Paul Morrissey movies. Cool box. It does look like a box set, but these are just two different versions of the movie. You got Flesh for Frankenstein on 4K, and then there is a 3D disc, which you can watch on a 3D TV or just use glasses. But man, I love this movie. There's so many great lines in it that you can recite. I just love it. This is slipcase number 1. We dare you to see. Alright, and this is slipcase number 2. It's the 3D one. Brings the horror off the screen and into your lap. This is the 3D disc. That's the cover. The other one is the same. Those are the bloody 3D glasses. I now that I'm doing this, I can't believe that this wasn't it. I didn't make this in my top 10. Maybe someday I'll rearrange it, but yeah, this is the 4K. Fucking amazing. Deranged scientist Baron von Frankenstein, with the help of his bizarre assistant Otto, is determined to create a new master race, of which he will be leader to achieve his objective. He constructs two perfect zombies from an assemblage of body parts, intending for them to mate. Meanwhile, complications ensue as Nicholas, a farmhand, begins an affair with Baron's sexually frustrated wife, all while searching for his missing friend, Sasha, whose head and brain have been used for Frankenstein's male zombie. A delectably gory and a cynically social satire from acclaimed filmmaker Paul Morrissey, Flesh for Frankenstein is among the most original and transgressive interpretations of Mary Shelley's classic novel, with an exceptional cast led by Udo Kier, in what might be his most iconic performance. I would agree. Sorry, I just realized the glare. I'm blinding people. But yeah, Flesh for Frankenstein has become an immediate midnight and cult movie sensation. Vinegar Syndrome proudly presents this true genre classic on 4K for the first time, along with its never-on-video original 3D version, newly restored from its original camera negative. Has an archive interview with the director. It has an interview with actor Udo Kier. It has an interview with Joe Balesandro. Sorry, I butcher names. Let's see, an interview with the producer, an interview with historian and author Stephen motherfucking Thrower. Now, I know some of you are like this too. I definitely am. If Stephen Thrower's on a release, I'll buy it. It's that simple. I love his books. I love his interviews. I love him on the video the Video Nasties releases that Severin put out, which originally were put out in the UK. Amazing. Man, an interview with actress Alu Bas Issoy. I'm terrible with names. I don't even know why I try. Let's see. Audio commentary with Sam Dugan, Heather Drain, and Kat Ellinger. Radio spots, theatrical trailer, audio recollections with Paul Morrissey. It just goes on forever. This is one of the greatest releases of all time. And I just realized that I shouldn't have been holding it that long. Oh well. Flesh for Frankenstein. Highly, highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. I know it's a little pricey, but hey, if I think they might still have it. This should be on sale, man. Yeah. I mean, that was my number 12 on my top 40. Now, 3 very different recommendation or honorable mentions. These didn't quite make it into the top 40 as I did with the other videos, but hey, still fun, still good. Speaking of 3D, good transition. Silent Madness. This was a very good slasher that I had heard a lot about, and I really liked it. He's out now. The terror has just begun. I've watched this numerous times. I don't know how this didn't get into my top 40, but hey, with almost 400 releases, I know scale that back because of my stipulations, but it was hard. But yeah, one of the few slashers produced during the short-lived early 80s revival of 3D movies, Silent Madness knows exactly what audiences want and delivers. Heavily gelled lighting and excellent use of 3D photography. It's just fun. You know what? I know it's not in my top 10, and I usually don't do or top 40, but I usually don't do this. When a glitch in a computer system at an asylum for the clinically insane or criminally insane results in the release of the wrong patient, a giant in stature homicidal maniac named Howard Johns. It's Howard Jones, I think, or maybe I'm just thinking Howard Jones. But who has the penchant for killing college co-eds, is up to one of the top doctors. Unfortunately, it's not Howard she has been worried about, as the administration of the asylum has decided to cover up the error. That's the gist of it. I find this a lot of fun. It's a little bit police procedural. It's a little bit slasher. It's a little bit goofy. But in the end, a lot of fun. Silent Madness. Honorable mention. An honorable mention that's always kind of been mixed with people. But, you know, Vinegar Syndrome puts out a Larry Cohen movie, which I already loved. Perfect Strangers. I highly recommend this. This is the other art. In Love, in Danger. Perfect Strangers. My last honorable mention is a stupid movie. But as I said earlier on, I like stupid shit. So I don't care. I had fun with this. Old Dracula. That's the art there. I know a lot of people, again, weren't super into it, and I hate catching myself doing that, okay, because you be you, but I gotta also say that because you gotta put it out there. People are taking these as recommendations. It's just how it is. But Old Dracula, it's a lot of fun. I really liked it, but yeah. Really quick, because I realized I didn't. 376 for Flesh for Frankenstein, 344 for Satan's Blood. Silent Madness, 340, 322 for Old Dracula, and 326 for Perfect Stranger. There's a lot of threes. I was a big fan of those threes. All right. So, coming to the end of the video, almost in on 50 minutes. I hope people stuck around. I hope you had fun with this. Sorry, sometimes I jumble over my words or I start rambling about different things. I try to get through it. This has been a blast. Look for my top 10 favorite. Oh my God, I'm actually there. It's going to happen, but it's insane to me that it is. It's almost bittersweet in a way. I know, a little corny, but Vinegar Syndrome is my favorite label, and I gotta shout out to my wife who does all the art and the collages for me for my videos and the thumbnails. I really appreciate it because she is the main reason why I'm able to get these releases. So shout out to her. I love you, dear. Thank you so much for always supporting my habits, so to speak, my addictions, which is movies and music, especially movies. But she's always the one that, unlike a lot of people that worry in groups, like, oh no, my wife is going to see my PayPal receipt or whatever. She's usually one that gets the PayPal receipt and says, oh, did you get everything that you wanted? She's that kind of wife. She's awesome. Just wanted to shout out there. Without any further ado, as I just kind of showed the cover, my number 11 favorite Vinegar Syndrome on my top 40 is Splatter University, which unfortunately I never got a slipcase for because I was stupid and waited too long. This was earlier on in their stuff. This is 261. I always say earlier, but then I look at it like it's 2019. That's insane, considering I've been buying from them since 2013. Excuse me. But we're going to get through this. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. I appreciate it. Look for my video next week. Years ago, goddamn glare. Years ago, a madman escaped from an asylum, slashing his way through to freedom and continuing his bloody rampage at a nearby St. Trinids College. Now, years later, new teacher Julie Parker begins the sense that something isn't quite right in this small-town college. And it's not long before her students and fellow faculty members begin disappearing, or worse yet, are found brutally butchered. Determined to uncover the truth behind the ongoing violence, Julie begins her own investigation, unaware that she is putting herself at risk of becoming the ruthless murderer's next target. A classic of no-budget horror filmmaking, Splatter University is a trashy and consistently absurd 80s slasher that revels in the best and worst tropes of the genre. Sporting bloody kills, absurd twists, and a face-smacking finale, Vinegar Syndrome presents Splatter University in the North American Blu-ray debut, sporting a brand new and first ever restoration from its original 16mm camera negative. There's some stuff on it, like there's a commentary with the director and a commentary with the Stereo Continues, an audio interview with composer, but there isn't a lot. And it's not very long. It's 78 minutes, but I have fun with this one. It's silly, it's whatever, but it is a good slasher in my opinion. I love Splatter University. I even have a t-shirt. This is the inside. This is when they still did DVDs. I know some people still are like, well, I fuck don't do DVDs. Fine. I personally don't need it, but hey. This is the reverse. But yeah, my number 11, Splatter University. Love this movie. I got the 88 Films one before I got this. I think that's what took me so long until I realized, like, fuck. It's Vinegar Syndrome. This is when I still second-guessed shit and was an idiot. When now it's Vinegar Syndrome. Don't even think about it. But that's what took me so long because I'm like, I have the 88 Films. What do I need this for? Because this looks a million times better. And it's one of your favorite slashers. Like, hello. Splatter University. It was also in... What year did this come out? 84. I think it's in my 84. It might have accidentally been in 83. I don't remember, but it's in one of those of my top 10 favorite horror movies of that year. But for this sake, it's Splatter University, my number 11 of my top 40 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. So yeah, that one was long-winded. I apologize. I hope everybody is whoever stuck around enjoyed it. Be looking out for my top 10 coming out next week. Check out my other videos. Check out my podcast. Like and subscribe if you would like. Thanks for hanging out. This has been the Horror of It All movie podcast. I'm Eric. Until next time.